Bonjour! Welcome to the newcomers and welcome back for the others. Today I'm going to try something new. I'm going to do the book 6, The Siege of Mackendal, of the Ranger Apprentice. But I'm not going to start with chapter 1, because someone already did that. His name is C.thundah. I know I can pronounce it correctly, but anyway, it's thanks to him that I'm reading audiobook today. It was kind of my inspiration to do so. And so my aim in doing this is not to overcome him or anything. It's just that he did kind of a long pause, and I wanted to know what happened to Will in his adventures. And I thought, why not sharing it with you? I know you will miss the voice of C.thundah, like I do, but, well, I want to move on. So, if you want to, let's go together. Then, chapter 9. Will and Horace rode along the winding paths through Grimsdale Wood, following the dog's unwavering lead. Horace shook his head at the impenetrable tangle of trees and foliage around them. "No wonder Malcolm's been safe in here all these years," he said. Will smiled. "It's been his best defense," he agreed. "Of course, he has a few other ways to discourage visitors." "He'd hardly need them. You could lose an army in here, and they'd never find their way out. Good grief." The last 2 words were drawn from him as they rounded a bend in the track and saw the gruesome skull warning sign among the trees. He suspected that Will had intentionally neglected to tell him about it. "Oh, that's Trevor! Pay him no mind. He's harmless," Will said. Horace could hear him chuckling quietly to himself as they rode on. "Hilarious," he muttered to himself. They came to the clearing in the woods quite abruptly. One moment they were in the semi-dark tunnel formed by the track among the gloomy old trees. Next, they were in the sunlight, and Malcolm's pleasant little thatched cottage was before them, smoke curling from its chimney. A table had been set up in the late afternoon sunshine, and Will could see Malcolm, Xander, and, to his surprise, Ormond sitting around it. The sallow-faced castle lord appeared to have lost ways. His face, beneath the receding hairline, was even paler than normal, and there were dark shadows under his eyes. The eyes themselves, however, were bright and alert. There were 2 vacant chairs. Will guessed that Malcolm had delayed lunch until they arrived. In all probability, Will thought, he had been receiving constant updates on their progress. After introductions all around, Will and Horace sat at the table with the others. The dog took off an arrow, catching sight of trouble on the far side of the clearing. "Go ahead, then," Will said belatedly. "We waited lunch for you," Malcolm told them. Will made a disclaiming gesture. "We ate lunch at the inn," he began. But Horace interrupted before he got any further. "Still, there's no harm in an early supper," he said. He was forever angry, although his lean, muscular frame showed no evidence of the amount he could hit. "It's good to see you around, my lord," Will told Ormond. The castle lord allowed himself a wry grimace. Up, perhaps, Will Barton. But I'm definitely a long way from being around. We are very pleased with his progress, Malcolm put in. Will indicated Horace, who had already begun demolishing a bread roll, and the good news continues, my lord. With Horace to help us, we'll soon have you back in your castle. Horace reddened slightly at Will's fulsome praise, and Will realized he might be laying it on a little thick. But he was inordinately pleased and relieved to have his old comrade by his side again. He sensed that the other hadn't realized the significance of Horace's identity, so he added, "You might know him better as the Oakcliff Knight." The name meant nothing to Xander, who scolded and muttered just loud enough to be heard. "And how much are we paying this one, I wonder?" Horace reddened further, but said nothing. Ormond shot Xander a warning look. The little man subsided, mumbling. Then a thought struck Ormond. "The Oakcliff Knight?" he said, thoughtfully. "Then surely you're the one who was involved in that business with Morgaras some year back, and with the Scandians, as I recall." Horace shrugged. "A lot of that was exaggerated, my lord." But now Ormond's gaze had turned to Will as realization dawned. "And I recall that he had a friend who was a ranger," he said. "That was you, wasn't it? Will Barton, my foot? You're the one they now call Will Treaty." It was Will's time to shrug. "All of that was exaggerated," he said. He noticed that Malcolm was oblivious to the events that Ormond was discussing. Of course, Will thought. He'd been secluded in the forest for years. Xander, however, was looking disconcerted as he realized he had just insulted one of the kingdom's most capable warriors. Will grinned. Served him right. Horace coughed gently. He had more important matters on his mind than a surly insult from Ormond's attendant. "There was some mention of food," he reminded them. Horace always did have a good grasp of priorities. So that was chapter 9. I hope it was alright. I know I'm quite bad with names, and there were some words that I didn't know, so for the pronunciation I'm not sure of them. I hope you understand you understood everything. Then see you next time for chapter 10.